Love, love, good day to you. Pray all is well. Prey. Honoramus matras nostros. Fiduciary law is it. So, I'll come to you on, my American Indian conversation with you. You know what I mean? Again, everybody's a creditor in every contract and business arrangement. But I'm just going to show how, simple it is that you have to accept that you are the American Indian, who is a creditor in a fiduciary relationship with the United States. The owner in a fiduciary relationship with the United States. So, mess around with you with the cam. I had 2 documents for you. Okay. Two documents. 2 videos. Alright, let's get to the document. I sent it to you. Comptroller's video. Personal fiduciary activities. Now I tell you to read it. I teach you what the pages I, present to you to read. But indeed, I tell you to read it. You know what I mean? Personal fiduciary activities. Asset management. Again, these documents are your assets. As far as this realm is concerned, as far as what commerce is, Comptroller's Handbook. Again, United States. Conversation. Right? Personal fiduciary activities. So, table of contents. You know what I mean? I take you to background. Page 2. A fiduciary relationship involves a duty on the part of the fiduciary, the bank. Page 2. So now you see my conversation with you. I got 2 references for you, 2 documents, 2 YouTubes. Take these in, accept being the owner, creditor, American Indian. Yeah. I'm on my Indian conversation with you, so you hear me talking to you. Except being the owner, the creditor, the American Indian. Up to you. Right, so fiduciary relationship. I'm in the Comptroller's Handbook, page 2. Right, fiduciary relationship involves a duty on the part of the fiduciary, the bank. So again, now you know who you're talking to. The bank is the fiduciary. The agent is the fiduciary, right? To act for the benefit of the other party to the relationship, the customer. That's you. You know that. Concerning matters within the scope of the relationship. Fiduciary law is designed to protect the party who gives fiduciary power. So, period. You're the one you're the one extending, you're the one giving, etc. So again, the owner of the account, the creditor of the account. That's what it is. Right? Alright, so now let me give you the other document. Again, that was Comptroller's Handbook. Comptroller's Handbook, Personal Fiduciary Activities. That's what that last one was. I send it to you. Go through your links. Crack open the links I send you. I'm not wasting your time. The page is for fiduciary law. Donate a gift to my mother's Cash App. Tell her happy birthday. Now, that was a PDF, Personal Fiduciary Activities. I meant to show you page 9. Let me do that. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. Page 9. Oh.
Free my son, be free my son. The battle is won, it's won, all done. Remedy my son, mind free, have fun. Victory, taste the sea, kabari, we won. Free my son, be free my son. The battle is won, it's won, all done. Evil deeds we done, pig is up by son. Morally authority, spiritually we won. I'm an undercover hostile, caught them hostile,
Yeah, okay. So, page 9, trust agreement. Let me see what you're looking at. I'm not looking at what you're looking at. Pardon me. Bring it down a bit. Let's do it. Launch the table on some laboratory. Alright. Love to you. Love to you, AK. I'm in the Comptroller's Handbook. This is one of 4 references I'm just putting forth to read to enforce comprehension in this fiduciary relationship. This is page 9 of the Comptroller's Handbook. I'm going to take you straight to it. For me, again, I'm a fiduciary law comprehensionist. So, excuse me. I want you to realize that you're the authority, you're the power, and by utilizing the word fiduciary in the multitudes of transactions, these different titles they try to place upon you, you stand being the owner, the creditor, and you enforce that authority. So, to press you with, a characteristic of a trust. A trust is a fiduciary relationship. See that? In which a person or entity holds legal title to property, but is obligated to keep or use property for the benefit of another person or entity. Again, it's all a fiduciary relationship. A trust is a fiduciary relationship. It's all a fiduciary relationship. So now my conversation is to govern. You're the owner. Right? That's what all these other little titles mean. That you're the owner. So, the Comptroller's Handbook, it explains it, trust agreements. Personal trust services are a significant part of most banks' fiduciary business. A trust is a flexible legal instrument whereby one person is enabled, to deal with property for the benefit of another person. A trust can be used for many purposes, including, right, a contract, right, a bond, right? A bond can be used for many purposes. Excuse me. Personal bond services are a significant part of most banks' fiduciary business. A bond is a flexible legal instrument whereby one person is enabled to deal with property for the benefit of another person. Right? That vow, But again, in those degrees of, fiduciary conversation, fiduciary relationship, fiduciary obligation, fiduciary duty. Right, so, okay. Comptroller's PDF. No, I bought bread. 18 United States Code 914. Creditors of the United States. Right? And this is how you have to see yourself. This is how you have to see yourself as a creditor of the United States. You know that flag is everywhere on your land, American Indian. You know? Whoever falsely personates any true and lawful holder of any share or sum in the public stocks or debt of the United States, or any person entitled to any annuity, dividend, pension, wages, or debt due from the United States, and under color of such false personation, transfers or endeavors to transfer such public stock or any part thereof, or receives or endeavors to receive the money of such true and lawful holder thereof, or the money of any person really entitled to receive such annuity, dividend, pension, wages, or other debt, shall be fined under this title, imprisoned not more than 5 years, or both. See that? Really entitled. That's you. Really entitled is you. There's no way around that. Read that. 18 United States Code 914. It's in my bio. Pull it up. Read it for yourself. You're the one really entitled. You're the true and lawful holder. So like I said, between this one and the Comptroller's Handbook, I mean, I'm just in the build, you know what I mean? This one and the Comptroller's Handbook. You know what I mean? And then I got 2 videos for you. 2 YouTube videos. Right? So this one gives you, and look, this one gives you jail time. 5 years jail time. So whatever the fine is that you feel, and then the jail time for 5 years or both. So what if they falsely personate you and take you for $1 million? They should at least do 5 years in jail, right? You know, I feel like once they go beyond 100,000, they got to get the 5 years in jail or whatever the jail time is. You know, but if assault and battery is involved, then yeah, go to jail. You know, false personation, endeavoring, receives or endeavors to receive the money of such true and lawful holder. Come on, see how crazy that is. Look at how they drafted this to say endeavors to transfer such public stock or any part thereof, or receives or endeavors to receive. Do you know what endeavor means? Excuse me. I'm not looking at it through the... There we go. Try hard to do or achieve something. He is endeavoring to help the third world, an attempt to achieve a goal, an endeavor to reduce serious injury. So, they're trying hard to take your public stock, and by falsely personating you on that contract and business arrangement, listing themselves as the creditor, calling you a buyer, a purchaser, they're breaching their fiduciary obligation, engaged in self-dealing, falsely personating the creditor of the United States. What I got, 23 minutes? I finished it for you right there. I closed it out for you right there with this and the PDF, Comptroller's Handbook. You're supposed to vet him with fiduciary law, moral turpitude, moral obligation. So, I mean, that's it. This is that. That's it. You over here now. That's it. That's it. Time to throw up the chalice. You're a creditor of the United States. You see it. Don't act like you don't see it, though. What you gonna do? What you gonna do about it, though? Because I know they're telling you to be the debtor. I know they're saying you can't be the creditor. True and lawful. You gonna run away from true and lawful holder? You gonna run away from that? True and lawful holder. And knowing that, again, what does endeavor mean? They trying hard to take your stuff. They trying hard to transfer your public stock. And they're trying hard to receive, or trying hard to receive the money was due to you. this is fiduciary law conversation, because everything's a fiduciary account. So of course you're the creditor. Look at the seller trying to call themselves the creditor. Come on. I'm walking you down. I'm walking you down. Now, do you gotta file the lawsuit? Yeah, or send the notice, send the seller's notification, attention seller. You know what I mean? You're breaching your fiduciary obligation, engaging me with this moral turpitude. I'm just saying the reality. And that's what I've experienced. Excuse me. Go ahead. Ain't nobody over there. Ain't nobody out there. I'ma stand on my square. Ain't nobody out there but me, Jess, look, Maya, a couple, maybe one or two, love to you. Fiduciary law. What? You're the creditor of the United States. You see it? I'm showing it to you. You gonna run away from that? You gonna turn away and not enforce your authority? It's a crime to personate you. To sit down and take your signature and then list you as someone else. And you're the owner of the account. I'm making it really simple. It's a crime to personate you. To personate you is a crime. It's one thing they have your true okay. Yeah. And that's the fiduciaries operating properly and coming to you immediately for you to make the proper decision. So, it's just a reality of, okay, now you got to get into it. You got to step on the account, govern things. It's your account. You got to govern it. If you're going to play the Monopoly game and all of that and those things and mess with that stuff and get them things and all that conversation, going knowing that you're a creditor, going knowing that you're the owner of these transactions, of these accounts, and operate as such. Again, fiduciary law is where it's at. I mean, you can ask them if you want to, but you are. Why do you need to ask them if you're the owner? And they put you down as owner in the document. Unless you didn't sign the instrument, or you weren't, you know what I'm saying? It's not your name. Oh, man. So, yeah, but again, you have to accept that you're the authority. You have to accept it. You going and asking them if you're the owner is wild on your part. Do you comprehend that? You have to accept that you're the authority. Whatever harm they're causing you, you're going to, address them to correct that harm. That's what you engage them to. Correct whatever harm is being done. It's so happy. And now, I am going to say it again. you asking them is wild on your part. You understand? Again, that's the reality. You know, I press you to start speaking fiduciary language, engage in fiduciary law, vet them with fiduciary law, govern your transactions with fiduciary law. You see what I'm showing you? You're still the creditor of whatever transaction you're in. That's the point. Now, I'm sitting here on my American Indian conversation, engagement with the United States. You know, boom. Engagement with Canada, Mexico, you know, Brazil, the Organization of American States. But you gotta come on. You gotta come on. Again, you have to accept. Right. Right. The moral turpitude is the angle, period. Is it, period. That's what all those acts are. That's the reality. All of those acts are moral turpitude. Lying, stealing, cheating, you know, the false personation. It's an act of moral turpitude, you know. Holding your dividend from you is an act of moral turpitude. You understand? So, I'm seeing what you're saying here. So yeah, you know, so right, I sit with you with this. I showed you the PDF, now I'm gonna show you the videos. Take you to YouTube. And this is both of them. First one here, fiduciary duty, napkin finance. Mm.
That could mean that the fiduciary may be sued or could lose their professional credentials. If a fiduciary engaged in criminal activity, the consequences could even include going to prison.
So already, the fiduciary's consequences for breaching their duty is going to
Fiduciary
prison.
duty. When someone has a fiduciary duty, it means they have an obligation to act in someone else's best interest. A fiduciary has to meet high standards in fulfilling their duties. Fiduciaries must act with good faith, care, and loyalty when carrying out their duties. Some real-life examples of people with fiduciary duties include an attorney who owes a duty to their client, a director who has a fiduciary duty to shareholders, a trustee who has an obligation to the trust's beneficiary, a guardian who must act in the best interest of their ward, an investment advisor who has a fiduciary duty to their client. What happens if a fiduciary duty is breached? That could mean that the fiduciary may be sued or could lose their professional credentials. If a fiduciary engaged in criminal activity, the consequences could even include going to prison.
Right, so napkin finance.
Could lose their professional credentials. If a fiduciary engaged in criminal activity, the consequences could even include going to prison.
Love to you, Henry. Yeah, I mean, go to prison, right? That's the, those degrees for breaching loyalty. You see how that lays out, though? Like the breach of loyalty. They should lose their credentials, should go to prison. It's a criminal act. And it is, though, because the emblems and insignias on the uniform signify trust. So to put that uniform on and do the exact opposite is a complete violation of the obligation, duty, responsibility, loyalty. Yeah. So, those degrees of comprehension in your posture as being the authority, and how you will have to navigate the rank and file who just only know, what they're told to do. So, man, 38, that's not too bad. Yeah, okay. So this is the third reference out of the four. Napkin finance, fiduciary duty. You know what I mean? I don't send this to you. This is something that I raffled through in my showings and, things of that nature. And saying to you, this is something that I found. So I'm still looking to see where fiduciary law is talked about, how it's being spoken. Look at the drafting, the cartoon, napkin. What if it's breached, maybe sued, could lose credentials, if criminal, could go to prison. I mean, just look at the whole thing. Loyalty with the heart. Must. It's 1:12. Just right quick. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? Look at that. Right? I'm just taking you back to it. Right? Let's get it right
It means
there.
they have an obligation to act in someone else's best interest. A fiduciary has to meet high standards in fulfilling their duties. Fiduciaries must act with good faith, care, and loyalty when carrying out their duties.
See that? I'm on you to press them. That's my conversation with you. I'm on you to press them. Get that Care Bear stare up on them. You know what I mean? Put the Care Bear hearts on them. Pull it out of them. You know, you'll have to be, you know, a little precise with the word to invoke their Care Bear powers. To invoke their fiduciary powers. So, right. I got one more for you. So, I'll let this finish out. Go to prison.
Some real-life examples of people with fiduciary duties include an attorney who owes a duty to their client, a director who has a fiduciary duty to shareholders, a trustee who has an obligation to the trust's beneficiary,
Again, owes a
guardian
fiduciary
who
duty.
must act in the best interest of their ward, an investment advisor who has a fiduciary duty to their client.
Fiduciary
What happens
duty.
if a fiduciary duty
Right.
is breached? That could mean that the fiduciary may be sued or could lose their professional credentials.
Right.
If a fiduciary engaged in criminal activity,
Napkin finance.
consequences could even include going to prison.
Napkin finance, fiduciary duty. Okay, so this is the third reference. Again, fiduciary accounts. See that? Napkin finance, fiduciary duty, napkin finance. Right? I'm saying watch this. So you just keep taking it in over and over. It's a minute and 12. Comprehend fiduciary duty, fiduciary law, fiduciary obligation, fiduciary responsibility. You know what I mean? Fiduciary account, right? Fiduciary accountability, right? Yeah. So take that. All right. So you take that in. Third reference. All right. My other one, 18 United States Code 914, creditor of the United States. Right. Also, what is that? Personal fiduciary activities, Comptroller's Handbook. It's actually Comptroller's Handbook, Asset Management, Personal Fiduciary Activities. Right? I'm saying these 4 references, read them over and over to accept being the owner, the creditor of this fiduciary relationship you're in. No matter what industry, transactions, all you govern it all with fiduciary law. I got one more video for you. Right. Seminole Nation versus United States. From
Sell them unvented. It's so easy.
Quimby.
Take clear pictures.
Both Congress and the United States Supreme Court have recognized that the unique history between the U.S. government and Indian tribes imposes fiduciary obligations on the government to act in a tribe's best.
Right there. Imposes fiduciary obligations on the government. So now I'm just saying it'll take you to do your part for yourself to impose the obligations. And it'll, you know what I'm saying, it'll work in your favor. You know, indeed, you'll have challenges and so forth. But it will work in your favor. Again, it's all fiduciary law. So now again, I'm showing you, what is this? Let me close this. Seminole Nation versus United States. You know what I mean? Now, here's fiduciary obligation. United States to the tribes. Okay, so see him wanting to kick you out, American Indian. See them trying to figure out how to hide you, American Indian. United States has a fiduciary obligation to you. All right, so now here's the next hit. Here you go. Here you go. Look. Right here.
In 1856 and 1866, the United States entered into treaties with the Seminole Nation Indian tribe, in which the government established a $500,000 trust fund for the tribe's benefit. The government promised to pay the fund's annual interest of $25,000 to the tribe's individual members each year. In the early 1870s, at the request of the tribe's council, the government made interest payments to the tribe's treasurer and its creditors, despite the fact that the government had previously...
Creditors. And then the treasurer is the fiduciary for the creditors. The United States is in a fiduciary relationship with So, where am I at? 48. That's not too bad. Yeah, those four right there. And on some, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving you two videos that I are new to the table. You know, I use them in reference conversation, but they're not links that I send you. Wow, the two documents. You hear me talking to you? I'm talking about comprehension of you exercising your authority. You have to accept that you are the source. You are the power. You are the it. I'm just saying. You're in a fiduciary activity. You know, this fiduciary activity, center. I mean, again, the bank is your fiduciary. The bank is your fiduciary. The bank is your fiduciary. Have you read the Comptroller's Handbook? Personal fiduciary activities. The bank is your fiduciary. A fiduciary relationship involves a duty on the part of the fiduciary, the bank, to act for, and the bank is the example. You know what I mean? That's why they put it in parentheses, whatever agency, whatever department. Yeah, I mean, I'm on you though, because I send you links to empower you. So, much love to Gino Gold, to Jess, to Maya, to Todd, Sarah. I know it's named Evie. Some names I'm missing. Beetle. That's it. I mean, I press you to exercise your authority. You're in a fiduciary relationship. This is what it is. Utilize the language. The underlying premise of fiduciary law is to afford grantors legal protections that might otherwise be unavailable, too costly, or impractical to obtain. The underlying premise of fiduciary law is to afford grantors legal protections that might otherwise be unavailable, too costly, or impractical to obtain. Fiduciary law is designed to protect the party who gives fiduciary power to another party and those who may ultimately benefit from that transfer of power from the significant risks inherent in fiduciary relationship. The underlying premise of fiduciary law is to afford grantors legal protections that might otherwise be unavailable, too costly, or impractical to obtain. So, and I mean, again, you're the owner, you're the creditor. They're talking about you. You're the customer. So, don't let the seller wear your title of creditor, Because they're not a creditor. There's only one, and that's you, the owner. The owner is the creditor. All these other terms, grantor, testor, those are all terms to even kind of distract you from simply being the owner creditor. Buyer, these things. Again, the transaction is between a creditor and a seller. The contract, the business arrangement, the fiduciary relationship. So, yeah, okay, I think that's it though.
That the government had previously.
Creditors of the United States. You're welcome. You're welcome, Henry. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I say to you, you have to accept being the authority. You have to accept that it's about your power. The terminology is owner creditor. Again, American Indian as far as I'm concerned. I don't speak against anyone else unless they're evil. Excuse me. But you have to accept that you're the authority. You have to accept that you're the power, you're the source. And indeed, they're cheating, indeed they're stealing. I mean, this case alone, let me go back. Can I just go back? This case alone speaks to the fact that the United States knew that the tribal officials were misappropriating the funds. Okay? So this case is about them breaching their obligation, giving the money to the treasurers, knowing that they were misappropriating funds. And they didn't say anything, not until the creditors found out. So just that full scope of moral obligation. And even though, because I think they lost the case in reference to that, but things were cited again, the fiduciary obligation, I'm sharing it with you. They lost it in the United States District Court, And then the point that what I'm seeing now, comprehended, the United States is the military, the prison, that so-called thing, right? I'm seeing that, I should say, and I've always known that, so. But yeah, okay. Thanks for tapping in. Yeah, fiduciary law is it. I'll take you back to the top on this. Fiduciary obligations to the tribes to the Indians, Indian people, Indian nation. So, I stand with that. I come with that comprehension at least. I may not win every single, jammy I get into, but I come away with the knowledge, so I still stand successful, But okay. Much love to you. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sitting through. And like I said, the 18 United States Code and the Comptroller's Handbook, just reading those two references, you should really be taking in that you're the creditor, you're the owner of the account. You're in a fiduciary relationship. You have the power to command, and they're endeavoring to take your power. So those are the references flat out. And I showed you the two videos. This one, Seminole Nation versus United States case. And I showed you fiduciary duty napkin finance. So, yeah, that's it for me. Just wanted to, let you know what I went through. All right. Much love to you. Honoramus matres nostros. Fiduciary law is it. Love be with you.